Welcome to Angels Changing Tires. I'm your host, Yonatan Chanuchi. Welcome everyone for today's episode, and welcome the brother, the mighty, the warrior, the beautiful brother Harlem Ra. Brother, so good to have you here today, having this talk together. How are you today?
Ooh, I am evolving. Yes, I am at a very pivotal point of my journey, brother, if I'll be honest. And I I've been kind of traveling all over the place in the last couple of three odd weeks, and so doing different things, going different places, and connecting with quite a few different people. And there has been some personal things that I've been traveling with quite recently that has had an opportunity to be identified and realized today on the way here, only about 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
So it's divine timing.
Wow, it is divine timing.
Yes,
Wow.
it sure is, my brother.
Wow, it sounds amazing. It sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm,
Maybe
yeah.
I would love to hear about those recent events, but maybe you can introduce yourself for the people who don't know you, who haven't heard about you.
Okay.
Who are you? Who are you, Ra?
I am a man on a mission. I'm a human being on a beautiful mission here on Earth to experience the true potential of what it means to be a human being, and to connect with other beautiful humans who are on a path of experiencing the same sort of thing, the similar sort of thing. People who are stepping outside the comfort zone, people who are courageous enough to express their true authenticity. That's such a superpower these days, such a superpower. And I'm really enjoying the journey, and also really trying not to be attached to trying not to be too attached to versions of myself that I've become, and always moving into the knowing, or allowing the knowing that there's always work to do, no matter how ascended you become in your consciousness.
So true, so true.
Yeah.
Wow, I
Yeah.
really enjoy that definition that you are
Thank
a
you, brother.
man with a mission on understanding what it means to be a human being. I mean, what a fundamental question to ask ourselves, and to come so humble to the understanding that actually I don't know what it means, like sometimes we will not even get to that question in our life.
True.
Well, what do you
Yeah.
think? Like what led you to explore that realm? When is that question became really alive in your life?
That question became alive when I was experiencing struggle, when I was experiencing hardship, when I was experiencing pain, when I was experiencing fear, and all of these things that made me reflect on life and ask the questions: is this how life is supposed to be? In those dark times, and really wanting to experience something different. There was a deep knowing within me that there was other ways of living, there was other ways of being. Instead
Wow.
of always stressed, instead of always working, instead of always trying to make it to the next thing and to do the next thing, and then all of that sort of stuff really led me to a journey of self-discovery and to find other ways of living and other ways of being. I knew it was possible. It's just that my environment and the way that I was didn't allow that reality to exist at that time.
Wow.
So yeah, so then that was the spark, I guess, for diving deeper, and also the journey in relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
how and the things that were playing out for me, and who I was expressing myself as in these relationships. I it was beautiful because you know how intimate relationships are, my brother. With that.
Wait, just
Hmm?
to get it right, like you mean like romantic relationships or any kind
Yes,
of relationship?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So
Yeah.
a romantic relationship with a person, and
Mm.
how you, especially as men, that can be the only person that we take our armor off for. That can
Mm-hmm.
be the only person. We could be wearing our armor since childhood, all the way up until we journey with a woman, or with a whoever, woman or a man, depends on who you are, and you feel safe enough to be vulnerable with this person. And I found myself in the early stages of my relationships playing out. I recognized that I was playing out things and roles and acting in ways that I saw as I was a child within the relationship that my mother and father
Mm.
had. And
Wow,
then
yeah.
and then yeah, and with that came the realization and the dawning that that I am inheriting my environment, and how powerful my environment played on who I was and who I thought it was. And that played a part in that journey of what does it mean to be a human being as well. That contributed to that journey of self discovery, because I was like, especially when the wahine is reflecting back to you, like, that shit ain't normal. You need to go and get some counseling. And that's the beauty of being in a relationship with a woman, is she can reflect back to you. She can be that mirror to you when you need it. When you only trust that person, and sometimes you only listen to one person, and that
Yeah.
was it for me. And from that point, that contributed to that journey as well.
Wow.
Mm.
When was that? How long ago? Like, was it from early relationships or was it starting to build up only, later on in life?
Yeah, when I started getting into a more more sort of, maybe I was with a more mature woman, who was quite a strong woman, and that was the relationship that really helped me see that what I was and who I was wasn't necessarily serving us or myself positively.
Mm. You want to
Mm.
share some more about that? I mean, I'm pretty curious. What was
Yeah.
those points, like what exactly happened?
So because I grew up in quite a violent, abusive family,
Mm.
and that violence, that anger, and that frustration came out in my relationships.
Mm.
So that was what I was expressing in arguments and things like those. I was like a kid throwing his toys out of the cot, and and it was soon reflected that that wasn't healthy. That wasn't a healthy way to deal with my anger. That wasn't a healthy way to express my emotions. And then so that was what led to a deeper understanding that I didn't want to be that way.
Mm.
I didn't want to make the one that I loved, with my heart, afraid. I didn't want to feel that way, because after it, when you're in it, you're just in it, and it's just coming out of you. Hey,
Mm.
it's just erupting. It's erupting, and it's just reaction, and it's just fierce, and it's energy.
Yeah.
And when you don't understand it, it can be quite dangerous. And so and after it, after you've reacted, after you've exploded, after you've lost your center, you reflect. And I used to reflect, and I used to be like, what was I up to?
Mm.
Why was I being that way? Why? And then, and then you see a reflection of the energy that you projected in the face of your loved one.
Wow.
And you're like, man, I don't want you to feel that way. Like I don't, that's not nice. I wouldn't like to feel that way. And
Mm.
so those were some of the realizations I started having around. I didn't want to carry that anymore, and
Yeah.
I came to the conscious understanding that it was something that I had seen and adopted because it was
Mm.
normal. I
Yeah,
told her it
yeah.
was normal. It was normal to me in our childhood and our home and our whare and the way that our family communicated with each other. So that was just how I was communicating with her in that way. But
Wow.
when she said that wasn't normal, I asked myself, wow, is that actually not normal? And that was when I started the journey as well.
Mm. How
Yeah,
old were you then? How old were you then?
I was about 24,
Mm-hmm.
24, 25, 24. Yeah, brother.
Uh,
Mm.
and because you said, that anger came to you because that was something that you were, that's something you literally absorbed at home. That's what you saw. And
Mm.
I'm kind of curious to ask you, did it not came out before that with friends? Like, was it something that came out just through like that first, let's say, deep, intimate, romantic relationship, or did it came out before, but only now there was something that allowed you to reflect about it?
Yes, yes, that's right. Then only now there was a person who I trusted
Uh-huh.
enough to relay back to me what I was doing.
Oh,
Only
wow.
now, after 23 or 24 years, did I was I in a position. I probably developed enough at that time as well, like through maturity
Yeah,
and
yeah.
getting older and being able to perceive life in a different way.
Mm.
But only at that point was I able to actually hear back to me things that I was expressing and doing, and they weren't healthy because before that it was all just normal. And
Mm.
no one could penetrate my mind in a way where I could actually listen. Yeah, probably a lot of men can relate. There's only certain few people who will actually take advice from or who will actually listen to.
Yeah.
Mm,
Wow, that's really amazing. I mean,
yeah,
I
thank you.
think what's really amazing here is that there was a shift instead to me from what I'm perceiving based on what you're saying. Instead of, pushing it back and saying, oh, the person said something that I don't like and it's their problem, there was the first time a certain shift that say, oh, it's my responsibility.
Mm,
I did something wrong.
mm,
There is not, it's not about the person. It's I did
mm,
something wrong. I created something within myself and within the other person because that anger, that fire, in the end, you were consuming, it was consuming you. You were feeling that heat.
mm. Yeah.
And I
Mm,
think a certain desire to listen, which I feel like that's a point, like that's a point. Can you put the finger on, or maybe it was just because you were feeling safe with that woman, but regardless to
mm.
that, was there any other change that made you, take the response that you see from the outside and take responsibility on it instead of pushing it away? Was there any other process that you were doing?
I noticed the cycle happening.
Uh-huh.
I noticed there was a cycle happening. I noticed that
Wow.
it was happening too often and in different relationships. I noticed it was happening in multiple relationships
Yeah.
that it couldn't be the other person. I noticed that there was cycles that were happening that had happened previous because I'd been in a few relationships previous to that, and there was the same thing that was playing out in this relationship. That was a contributing factor as well. Was
Mm.
witnessing and becoming aware of this cycle that was coming out. That was another
Wow.
point that I was like, yes, brother.
Mm. Wow, it really reminds me of something that I heard from one of my spiritual teachers, that he's saying that everything in nature, everything in the cosmos goes in a cyclical movement. Like the earth spins once, it's a day. The moon circles the earth is a month. The earth go around the sun, it's a year, and so on. Like everything is cyclical in its nature. We eat, then
Mm-hmm.
we bring it back to the ground and we eat it. All the processes are cyclical. And that's the same way. That's how our karma works, basically, like our actions. Like we let
Yeah.
our past become our future. Like when we go on a circle, we basically saying that we're going nowhere, right? Like we're just repeating and repeating. It maybe the scenes are changing and we are older and the people are different, but basically we're still in this circle. And he's saying that starting a spiritual process means first that you understand that you are in the circle, you know, like the past will become your future. And you decide instead of going on a circle, you decide that you want to go on a straight line. You know, you don't want to repeat, you don't want to make your past your future. And that's the only way you can actually have a future, by recognizing that we are on that wheel, and that, you know, after realizing that, just responding instead of reacting and changing that. So that's a really beautiful process that you just described that really remind me of that story.
Wow. Yeah, that's a way of describing it too, brother. That's a beautiful way of describing it. Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, amazing. And how is it now for you around relationships? Are you currently in a relationship with someone, relating with someone closely?
No. Currently I am on my own flow at the moment. And I'm at a stage of this journey where there's still parts of my childhood that are playing out in relationships, and I've taken this time for myself to dive into the root and core of some of these things that I've been carrying for a long time, and I'm happy to actually dive into one of the things that fully come into realization just today, brother. If you, that's okay.
Yeah.
So a big thing that has played out in my relationships has been this feeling of jealousy, this feeling of you know, I'm sure a lot of time I can relate, but or people in general, but I've just been like, because the down the track of self-responsibility you go down, the more you realize that these outside experiences are really triggering and reflecting back to you parts of ourselves. And there was parts of me that was just so dense when it came to jealousy and when it came to insecurity. And so on my way, I've actually had a beautiful midi with a beautiful, powerful woman. Her name is Anina, and she's just such a ray of sunshine. And she's just so beautiful, brother. She invited me over to her whare today, and I lay on the table and we sat down and she shared some amazing, really empowering kōrero with me. She got her elbows into my puku, into my stomach, which she's made very clear is the emotional centers for myself. Because another thing along my journey has been about crying and struggling to cry, brother.
Wow, how many of us men can relate to that? How many of us can relate to that? And women as well, but I think men is more on the collective as well. Yeah. Wow.
Yes. So I told her the story about how I've had experiences where I felt the emotion in my stomach. It's sitting there, and I know I need to cry. I need to release it, but I'm struggling to cry. I don't know how to cry. So she said, come lie on the table and we'll work with your emotional centers in your stomach. And so she got her elbows in there today and really, really worked there, stirred up the emotional center in my stomach. And on my way back out to Turangi, which is where I am now from Palmerston North, I had the most beautiful emotional releases.
Wow.
Yes, I did,
Yes.
brother. I've just been like tears have just been flowing from my
Mm,
eyes all the way
mm,
from pretty much nearly all the way from Palmerston North up to here in Turangi. And she
wow.
shared some she shared some really beautiful, powerful, empowering, self-empowering kōrero that she's so in tune with her intuition that she was channeling through for me. And a big revelation that I've had around that jealousy journey, whatever you want to call it, it's an energy that's yuck and it's in the puku. Um, and it came through again on the journey as I was on my way here to Turangi today. And instead of pushing it away, instead of running from it, I sat with it. I dug my fingers into my stomach and I put it right on the button where this yucky emotional energy was coming from. And I said out loud to myself as I was driving, I was like, what is the root of this? Where is this coming from?
Mm,
Where is this coming from? I was really affirming out loud. Um, I wanted it to be shown to me. And I kept asking myself questions: is it from my mother? And then I would feel, and it was kind of a slight no. And then I'd ask, is it my father? And then I felt my energy, the yes was leaning more towards my father.
wow.
And I was like, but I can't remember my father. Like I can't remember how that would play out. And then all of a sudden, the remembering of when my father, he's um he saw another woman while he was with my mother.
Hmm.
He was with another woman while he was with my mother,
Yeah.
and and her hurt from that connection, from that experience, that hurt that came with him being with another woman, and then them splitting up and breaking up over that. I remember when we were only kids, we were about 7 or 8, and she really projected a lot of that hurt, a lot of that mamai, that pain that she was feeling from that from that experience that she had with my father. And
Wait,
and that
projecting
was,
it on you guys, on you and
yes,
your
on us as
siblings? Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I remember just feeling this deep sense of like understanding and revelation on where the origin of this mamai of around insecurity, because yeah, I remember just lots of very just yeah mamai, lots of trauma and stuff
Mm,
as we were kids around this stuff. And that was that's what I feel in this moment was the origin of this insecurity, this betrayal. It felt like betrayal, and that's the wānanga that I had on the way here, brother. And I released and I cried and I said that I don't need to carry that anymore. And I released that and did a few breaths, and then I made it here, and now I'm sitting in the sun and I feel just so light.
wow.
Yes, bro.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big thing, like
Yeah.
I really, well, first, thank you for sharing that. That's very vulnerable. And I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that a lot of people can take a lot from the way you handle that, because the way I'm seeing what you're sharing with me, I really liked how you worked on that feeling that you had on all the levels. You felt
Yeah.
something in your energy body, which was the feeling,
Mm.
that yucky thing that you just
Mm.
described. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't need to name it jealousy, hate, what doesn't matter, I
It's
guess. But,
yeah.
you felt that energy, and then
Yeah.
you take your fingers and you press them against that area in your body. So you work with the
Yes.
energy body and you work with the
Yeah.
physical body. You
Mm.
literally put your hands there and you
Yeah.
work with your mental body. You start to ask
Mm.
that, the thing is, it sounds so obvious and simple, but how many times we just
Mm.
don't do that? We numb
Yes.
ourselves with a TV show, a
Mm.
spliff,
Yeah.
an alcohol, whatever, which,
Mm.
by the way, I think there is space for that as well. If we don't know how to handle with, no one is doing something on purpose, something destructive. If that's the only tools we have on how to handle pain, that's what we have. It's not to
Mm.
say this is wrong or this is right. It's just, it takes a certain attunement to self, I think to come to that really detailed stages, it's like you took all of yourself and use it as a mission. Like, not now I'm gonna understand what is that, and I'm gonna dive there and let it go. You know?
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, really inspiring, I reckon. Yeah.
Thank you, my brother. Yeah. Thank you for receiving that. And to everybody who's listening as well, thank you for receiving that. I feel very, very light. But I also feel like I'd like to put my whole body in the natural source of water as well. So I'm probably going to do that after this podcast.
Yeah.
Connect with nature.
Wow, exactly. And you have a strong connection with nature as well. You have a strong connection with nature. I remember that I'm gonna tell a personal story on pretty much how we met each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah, brother.
So me and the brother, we met a bit more than 2 years ago at Lunasa, the festival. And he was just a fucking sunshine, like we were just me, and there was my ex-partner at the time. We were there with a bunch of other friends, and the brother just came to all of us, and he was just asking, guys, do you want some food? Do you want something to eat? Do you want something to drink? Just constantly feeding us and coming with so much light, and gave so much. That was so beautiful. And we became like a little family, like he joined us to the camp, and we were playing music and having like conversations and crying and laughing and many things that were moving for all of us at that time. I really remember a huge cry that I had there.
Yes,
and you
brother.
Hugged me so. You embraced me so. You were that was so amazing. Really, really amazing. And after that, we traveled together in our vans for I think about a week or two together. All of the group of friends that we had. And you told us, guys, tomorrow, I'm gonna go to nature for 2 months or 3 months on my own, no water, no food, and that's it. So it's our last night. And
that's right. Yeah.
And I remember we were like, wow, really? Like, you're gonna go on your own to nature for 2 months or whatever time it was. I think it was at least 5 weeks.
It was 5 weeks. Yeah. 5 weeks. Yeah.
No food, no water, and you were like, yeah, I'm trusting, it's gonna happen, and I need to do that. And I feel I remember myself being just like stoked, like how like this man, his connection to nature is just something so embedded within you. So maybe you want to share actually about that journey, or in general, like about your relationship with nature. Was it always like that?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to just say, man, I love that journey that we had at Lunasa, my brother. That was so beautiful. And don't forget the playing of the snail shell too. Remember that?
Of the what? Of the what?
The snail shell. Remember you played this?
The power.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know, I eat vegan, and the brother came with the power, and I was like,
yes, that's right.
I'm not sure if I want to eat that. Yeah. But I just the way he was serving it, and the way he was sharing, how you were sharing, how you were catching the power, and the amount of ceremony you did with that made me feel so comfortable and take a big exception, and to have that, and it was, to be honest, was absolutely delicious. Like, really delicious.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, brother. That was another well, we have lots what to talk about, but that's another inspiring thing, the relationship with nature and food, like how you just... But yeah, started maybe share about nature, and then
So my relationship with nature began when I was just a very young fella, and I was privileged to have a grandfather who was already deeply connected to nature. He grew up in nature. he grew up on a marae style in a marae style village settlement sort of place with a small community that had no power, and they really lived off the land. They were all self-sustainable in that way. So he was the one who introduced me to nature from a young age, and he would take me out and possum. He was a possum trapper, so we would go out and we would trap possums, and would go walking through the bush. And he was also very old school. So there was no GPS trackers. There was no no technology. He never used technology to navigate his way through the ngahere, through the bush. And so that was the example that I saw growing up on how to the level of connection that you can have with the forest and nature in that way. You don't need technology in order to find your way around in the place. You just need to have a really strong presence and observation, and be able to read the different contours, to read the different plants, the different trees. And so I saw all of that sort of stuff, and that was the foundation for my connection to nature. And he would always go gathering his own food and provide it for our whānau, hunting pork, venison, go to the beach and gather pawas and kinners. And so we lived off some really beautiful, prime, healthy
That's
wild.
throughout all your childhood? That's the food that you were eating?
Well, there was just that was the main sort of source, but there was other kai that was there as well.
Wow.
There was other kai,
That's
yeah.
incredible,
So, but yeah, we had freezers that were full of meat, full of wild food. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like, it's like those stories, of tribes. Old tribes, like the men go hunting and the woman taking care of the kids, and like, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we were blessed. We were blessed in that way.
Wait, so the place you were living, were you growing up in, like, really around nature, or where did you live?
No, we because I grew up in just like normal houses and stuff, and because I grew up with my mum and her on my father at the beginning, but then she had partners after that, and so I grew up in many different houses. But he would take me away, and then we'd go out into nature and spend like a journey, a hunting trip for him or something. Wasn't going out for a day and then coming back. It was going out for a week.
Wow.
It was going out, taking a canvas or something. No tents. It was just taking a canvas, a polythene, going out and then trekking into the bush, setting up a camp, building a camp out of materials that we find in the forest, and then parking up next to a stream so that we've got water, taking no water. Never used to take water in any bottles or anything. And then we'd stay in there and we'd go hunting for a couple of days, and then we'd come out.
This is crazy.
Yeah. So that was the kind of relationship that I
So
saw.
How old were you when you started to do those journeys with your grandpa?
Oh man, I was like probably young. I was probably only like 7.
Wow.
5. Yeah, I had another cousin who was only 5, and we walked a whole day into the forest, and we went and camped by the river at this one point for about a week, and came back out, and he was 5 years old.
And you kept doing it like throughout your throughout growing up? Every few weeks, like going and doing that, or? Yeah,
pretty much. If there was always some kind of kai gathering mission going on, whether we were catching eels and hinaki, or spearing them, or we were going and getting turkeys, we were getting venison, deer, pork, wild pork, and pawas, seafood. Yeah, he was a man of all the different realms.
Wow.
Yeah. And so as I journeyed and as I grew, and I got into my teenage years and all that journey of, you go drinking with your mates and you start partying and you're a young man and you're looking for wahine and all that sort of stuff. Even though I was fully immersed in a city sort of town environment, there was always that deep knowing that the world that I was living in wasn't the real world. I had a through the upbringing and through being out in nature so often and listening to all of his stories throughout that journey of childhood as well. Just
Yeah.
so many stories. Wow, so many stories about living off the land. I was like, yeah, I had a beautiful understanding that the world that we see around us in terms of cities and towns and that is a fabricated world that we've created on top of the real world, which was nature. And so I managed to weave my way through the city life, knowing that it wasn't the end the end all the be all, and that non-attachment that I had to that city life was a real lifesaver in the end. It was a real lifesaver because I didn't fully get invested and get swept away in all the parties and all the drinking and all the drugs and all those other sort of things, because there was the inner child in me had already been out into nature and knew that that was the real world that was here before all of these cities. It was here before man inhabited this planet. You know, it was just the
Wow.
original Earth in its most pure form. And then then I was just that helped. That really helped. Yes, brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a big, huge part of probably, well, we're gonna talk more for people to understand what you're doing in the world, for those who don't know what you do in the world and all the projects that you're doing and touching, and they're just amazing. I think, yeah, like all those questions that you ask yourself, or this strength to bring it out, like to break that illusion maybe that we created of what we think is important or not.
Mm,
Like probably that relationship that you had to nature was contributing so much for you to have that
yes.
anchor, eh?
Yes. Absolutely, brother.
Wow.
Mm.
I mean, how was it? How did you do those dual life in a way, because you go out with your grandpa in nature, you live an experience which is completely off the land, you're so connected to the root of what it means to be an animal in this planet, really connected. The water, the
Mm.
the, the sun, I'm sure that your understanding of nature and how to read animals and the
Mm.
plants and everything is another level of what most of us probably experience. And then, you come back from that and you come back to I was about to say the real world, but that's not the real world. Maybe that's the fake world, like that we call it the real
Fabricated.
world.
Yeah.
Exactly, the fabric.
Yeah. Fabricated
And
world.
then you have your friends and
Yeah. Yeah.
technology and
Yeah.
TV and, as you
Yeah.
said, the drink. How did you manage to close that gap? If you even managed to close that gap, or
Mm.
how could you do that? How did you operate with that?
Yeah. How did I navigate that?
Navigate that? Yeah.
Yeah. Uh I guess I just allowed, because at that, growing up, my level of awareness around the world and everything, I was still very much in a learning stage, and so I was just going through all of these different experiences, and I was open to experiencing so many different things, and the way that I was understanding my world was with what felt good and what didn't feel good, and so um, I knew that being in nature felt good to me.
Right.
And there were some experiences in the city life that didn't feel good to me. And so throughout my lifetime, just learning this, that because it was an internal corridor, it's an internal communication with our external environment. And so throughout this journey of experience, and because I went over to Australia as well, and I worked in kitchens, brother, so those are some pretty
Yeah.
stressful environments as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a powerful learning experience. And so throughout all of these experiences, because you know how the universe works in a way where to understand something, or to realize what something is, it has to experience what it's not. To fully understand
Amen to
the
that.
You know
So
what I mean,
true.
eh, brother?
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I have
Yeah.
an example for that.
Oh
I
yes,
really
can you share?
feel,
Yeah, because I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
think of one. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a pendulum, you know?
Mm.
You have the pendulum, like you start to throw it from one side and then it goes all the way to the other side.
Yeah.
And then slowly, slowly, slowly you find the sweet spot. It's
Mm.
like, for example, if for you is really hard to, let's go to relationships. Let's say for you is really
Mm.
hard to express yourself or your pain
Mm.
or your
Yeah.
desires or your boundaries, you know?
Yeah.
And you just don't express, don't say anything. So you are on one edge on the pendulum.
Yes. Yes.
So I
Yes.
think in order to find the sweet spot, which means to express it in a way that is not demanding or not blaming, and very
Yeah.
calm and very holding yourself with peacefulness and love through the other person, you probably have to go through screaming and blaming. It's better than not saying anything, you know, because you don't know how to speak. So the journey would be to start to speak, and probably life is gonna throw you to, like being very vicious in the way that you express yourself, until you will learn how to slowly, slowly make it softer and softer and softer until you find that sweet spot.
Yeah. That's perfect, brother. That's perfect. That relates to what I was talking about
Mm,
as well, and that relates to the whole human experience, I reckon. Hey, and many different examples, many different
true,
experiences.
true,
Um,
true.
yeah. So that's pretty much yeah what I can share about how the that connection to nature stayed alive as I was in my teenage years and going through all of those things in
Mm,
the city, because I was constantly going back out to nature anyway, and doing gathering kai and spearfishing, and I just continued to grow that skill set. Yes,
yeah.
yes, brother.
I
Then I
really
started having
like I
some.
really like there is a certain simplicity in your way to engage with understanding who you are, or understand the human experience, or spiritual process, whatever you want to call it. To me, is a certain self-discovery, but everyone use their own terminology, and that God, that's all just different names for the same thing to me.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a certain simplicity. Like you said
That's
earlier, how do you know? I ask you, how do you navigate between, that true, authentic connection that you feel when you have in nature, compared to coming back to, this makeup world that we live in?
mm,
And your answer was so simple. Whatever feels
yeah.
good, and whatever doesn't feel good. Like you
Mm,
just, as simple. When and I think we should all remember that, because so many of us who start that journey, we all know that we can be surrounded with people, and they talk up with us about angels, and they channel in this and channel in that, and the fifth dimension and the third dimension, and things feels
mm.
like it's so complicated. Yet I think if you narrow it down to the core, it's what you just said. It's an inner corridor, is an
That's
inner
it. Yeah.
listening, is an
Yes.
inner ability to understand the subtlety of, those small voices, or something that feels good or
Mm.
something that feels not so right. I don't want to
Yeah.
use good or bad, because I guess
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like that's what you
Yeah.
started your sharing with, like you said, it was not bad. I just felt something in my belly. So
Yes.
I decided to address that. So
Yeah.
it's just as simple. Like, when
Mm.
something is pleasant, let's follow that. If something is not
Mm.
pleasant, let's understand what is there, and
Yes.
just
Let's
keep
feel
that
that.
keep that inner listening
Mm.
to ourselves.
And
That's beautiful.
I feel like that's a very important part of this journey, eh, brother? Like is building is strengthening our internal communication,
Mm,
and really fine tuning when the different aspects of ourselves are wanting to lead, or are wanting to speak to us, are wanting to communicate, are wanting to express. There's many different aspects that create us as human beings. And I guess the first part of the journey was about understanding that. coming to the realization, oh, I'm not just this body, and my name isn't just Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
It's so strongly identified with the body, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all that is. That's like, I guess that's the kind of beginning stage that I experienced, was just like thinking I am just the body, and
Yeah.
and then I am this person. That's who I am, Harlem Ratapu. Because with that kind of reality, with that kind of attachment, with that kind of existence, you can become very, very possessive of life, very possessive of material things, very possessive of the physical reality.
Mm-hmm.
And with possessiveness, what's the opposite of possessiveness? What's the polarity of possessiveness? Is like complete depression, is complete destruction. So if whatever you are possessing and attaching so much of your worth, so much of your attention, so much of your energy into, is taken away, that's your
Mm.
power. You just give that power away.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
now when that thing that you possess so much has been taken, or has been destroyed, has been stolen, has been lost, whatever happened, you are now left in a complete deficit from all of this energy that this value that you placed on these physical things. And I feel like that's almost a place that a lot of people experience, and that attachment to their body and attachment to life. and
Ooh.
and it's not until you have experienced the detachment from your physical reality, from your physicality, from your body. Not until you may have experienced like out of body experiences or energetic experiences, where you have these deep epiphanies and realizations that, oh, I'm not only just the body, I am consciousness or spirit that inhabits the body as well.
Amen.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then that old paradigm, that old dimension, that old reality just crumbles. And that's a really, because that with that attachment to the body comes complete fear of death. And
Yes.
when you're living in attachment, you are living in fear as well. And a life filled with fear is not a fun life. It's not a fun one. So it's like that's a beautiful that was a beautiful transition that I went through, was coming to a deeper knowing that I wasn't just the body.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wanted to share that, brother.
Oh, that's a lot of wisdom what you just shared. You spoke about many things.
Yeah, yeah,
And I feel like I want to dive maybe deeper into each one to just make, for people who never experienced something that is outside of
yeah.
the physical
That's
body
right.
to,
Yeah,
I'll, okay, I'll say something I think about it, and let's see where we're gonna go from there. I think first of all, I really agree with everything you just shared. Really agree
yeah,
with you. And I think that prior to, because you said that, that suffering comes from identifying with something that we are not, identifying with something that is way more limiting than who you are.
yeah, yeah,
I think to even come to the understanding that you identify as something that you are not means that you are acknowledging something. You're just acknowledging the sentence, I don't know. You can live peacefully with I don't know,
yeah,
you know, because
yeah,
coming from I'm identified with the body, let's say it's
yeah,
conscious or unconscious, and then moving, I'm the mind. Another conclusion. Maybe it's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
right as well. That's again gonna create
yeah,
that circle.
yeah,
Coming to, okay, I'm the energy. Again,
yeah.
you don't know. The truth is that we don't know. So
Mm,
we can say we are the soul, or we are God, or we are love. We are
mm, yeah.
think that the more we're gonna jump and identify with something, the
Mm,
more again we create a certain attachment. Because once I'm saying I am
mm,
love, for example, the moment I feel
mm,
anger, which will happen because you are a human
mm,
being, then there's gonna be a huge clash in your
mm,
existence. Because I'm love. How
mm,
can I feel anger? What
mm,
happened here? How is it, you know? Like, again, it's another sword of another identification that is not
mm.
necessarily you.
Yeah.
So I think as long as we are not coming into terms of what is us, I am blank, that is not as clear as the sun rising in the morning, I think the only actually way to understand or to experience what is us is to say, I don't know. I don't know. And that's a very uncomfortable place to be.
Yeah.
But it's a place that if you learn to enjoy that, that brings a lot of curiosity.
Yeah.
If you acknowledge you don't know, you will constantly look with so much attention, like a baby. How a baby sees the world, like it's like everything is so new, everything is so amazing because they don't know. They acknowledging, I don't know, actually. Mm,
Yeah. You know what? There's a beautiful feeling that arrives for me when I feel into the statement that I am happening.
wow. Yeah,
I am happening.
you
I'm just
happening.
happening. I'm
Wow.
just happening right now. I'm happening.
Wow. It's
I like that
beautiful.
feeling
It's
too. Yeah.
beautiful. And that's
Thank
your
you.
truth, like that's your truth. If you feel that, time will tell you if it's something that's gonna promote you or if it's something that's gonna, it's gonna be another form of attachment. That's just
Another
time will tell
yes.
you.
Yeah. All right, brother.
Yet just that inner attunement and that you come into something that is resonating for you. It's not because someone
Yeah.
told you, it's not because something it came from
Yes. Yeah.
you. I
Yeah.
think that's a huge progress in that way because you start to detach yourself from all the whatever beliefs, religion,
Yes. Yes,
society,
brother.
what tells you what's
Yes.
right, what's not. Like you're coming into a certain space of inner wisdom, you know?
Yes, brother.
And what do you
Yes.
think? What can you share with those of us that listening that, you know, okay, I'll start by saying I think I really agree with you. I think that until someone doesn't, it's not reading about that, until someone doesn't experience itself
Yeah.
beyond the body or beyond the
Yeah.
mind or something that leaves
Yeah.
you with the what the fuck kind of reaction,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's hard
Yeah.
to go on that journey.
Yeah.
I At the same time, based on people that I'm speaking with, almost everyone had an experience like that. Even people
Mm.
who are not at all interested or thinking about that or feeling
Mm.
into that or tried to have that or practice it, most of us had one way or another a certain experience like that. I think a really
Mm-hmm.
common one is through dreams.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
many of us had,
exactly. Yeah.
like many of us had dreams that we speak with an old friend we haven't met for
Mm.
years and then wake up in the morning, see a message from them or see
Mm.
something that's
Mm.
relating
Mm.
to that. Or I think
Mm.
most of us had something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what can you share about that? Maybe you can share about your experience first time when it happened to you if
Yeah.
you want, or how do you think
Absolutely,
people
brother.
can tap into that, or what do you do with that? Yeah.
Well, that's you hit the nail on the head for me because the dream state was the gateway, was the portal for me to understand that I wasn't just the body, and so I I started to have lucid dreams. I started to really bring awareness and priority. I started to bring more priority to looking at my dreams, to remembering my dreams, to practicing lucidity in my dreams, to practice becoming conscious in my dreams. And because I remember doing it when I was a young kid, and for some reason it came back into my life around the 20 something, and I would have these experiences in my dream state where I was completely conscious. I figured out how to become conscious through certain ways, and then by being conscious in the dream state, I was no, I wasn't my body. Sometimes I was a different person. Sometimes I would find a reflection in a glass building. I remember these very clearly. I would see a glass building. I'd look in the reflection in the glass building, and I would see a totally different person staring back at me.
Wow.
Yes, and one time it was a woman. One time it was
Wow.
a woman. Yeah, because I would consciously, I'll be okay. I'm in a dream. I'm in a dream state. I'm in my dream in the astral realm, and then I would look for this mirror or this other thing, and I'd look at myself, and I just remember looking at myself in the mirror in this dream state, being so amazed. I was like, wow, what, who is this person? And then there's been many occasions where I've looked in the mirror and I was a almost like a Olmec, or like a sort of looked like a Polynesian slash Filipino person with a massive medallion on my chest, an ancient like talisman thing. And so just journeying into this dream realm, really coming back from those spaces, because there's many different layers to the astral planes. There's your deep. It's an opportunity to go into your deep subconscious mind as well, and have the things that lie dormant in your subconscious reflected back to you visually, and you can actually sit there and look at them manifested in front of you. Your darkest fears manifested in front of you, and what feels like a real life experience, and it kind of is. It's a real life experience because you are literally there in that time, conscious and aware of everything that's going on. And so I would go into these dream spaces and I would have these be learning about energy. I'd be learning about the way that my intention and my focus shifts and shapes my reality in the dream space. And then I would come back into this realm and this reality, and I would have these deeper revelations from my dream space on how this dream world is working, and
Wow.
how my intention is manifesting and shaping and creating my physical reality, because my version of reality started to become twisted and melted. And being in the dream space in the astral plane for so long, both realities where there was no real difference. It wasn't a dream anymore. It was a place that I would go to in a version of myself that I was. And so the only difference between the spirit plane or the dream, where the astral plane, was that you can manifest things instantly. You look at a fence. I remember looking at a fence and then saying 3, 2, 1. There's birds, and then boom, there would be birds that would be sitting on the fence. And so coming back into this physical reality, that things aren't necessarily instant like in the dream realm, but the same rules apply. The same sort of ingredients, or the same method applies to manifesting into physical reality that it does in the dream realm. You still utilize your intention, your
Mhm.
focus, and your energy to create things in this physical reality. So it was like, yeah, going into the dream realm, and that was the separation from one of the journeys of a deep knowing, a deep unwavering knowing that I wasn't only just this physical body, because I was leaving it during the night.
Wow.
Yes, brother.
I like how you interpretate that. You know, you said it's this whatever happens in the dream is what happens um, in reality, just not that instant, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the same principle.
Same principle, same method, same energies that we utilize.
Wow,
Yeah, but
that's powerful.
in the dream space, everything is so much more intense,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's so much more intense. It's so instant. It's a beautiful way to really identify the subtle energies that we have access to in this physical realm with the physical body, but can be hidden by a lot of the things that we've picked up along the journey as a human, a lot of the traumas, a lot of the other things that can sometimes suppress us. Also, lots of distractions in the world that pull your attention outward, which don't make it very easy to experience and to identify these real subtle energies that exist, that actually play a big part in creating our reality.
Maybe give us an example.
Um, so, hmm, the biggest things that help. manifesting or creating whatever it is you choose to experience in life is focus. Is focus and is intention. Intention is the foundation for whatever you wish to choose to create. So but intention can be a very subtle, it's like a subtle breeze that blows in the air. It's just a slow, slight breeze at the start until you begin to strengthen your connection with that intention. And then, so at the core of it, that's at the base of it, is our intention. And if you can manage to identify and direct where that intention is that you wish to flow in, and you utilize your focus, you channel that with your intention. If you can imagine like I'm just going to use a laser beam as an example. Your intention is a beautiful blue color, and that's spiraling out into a direction. You've also got your focus, which is a beautiful yellow color, and that's weaving in with the blue, and they're combining together and they're making a beautiful laser beam heading in whatever direction. And then you've got your focus, which is weaving in as well, which might be red, yellow, and blue, all just twisting and turning. And there's a part of you, there's an aspect that is you, that has the ability to direct that beautiful laser beam of magic. And wherever you choose to point that beautiful laser beam of creation is whatever you will experience in your physical reality.
Wow.
Yeah.
And guys, everyone who hear that, it's coming from a man who did incredible things with his intention. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, true.
And which we're gonna speak about really, really soon. And wow, it's like a recipe. I mean, to me, it's a recipe. It's you know. So you said intention, focus, and what else? What was the third thing?
Focus, attention.
Attention, yeah.
Attention, focus. So I think focus, energy, and attention really weave in together with intention. And if you can focus all three, if you can direct all three into a single point, then you can literally create you can create whatever you choose to, whatever you desire to experience.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, and how was your journey to find that desire? Because I think for so many of us, it's hard to know what we actually want.
Yeah.
Specifically, like really specifically know what we want. How was it for you, this journey?
The journey of finding my highest calling or my purpose really came through a beautiful series of events. And I remember because my purpose and what creating space is, and the template for creating space, is an accumulation of all the skills and all the things that I've learned up until the point where the template was born. And I remember sitting there and having these revelations on, like, why am I here? Asking myself these questions. Why am I here? What am I doing here? Where am I going? And then I just had these beautiful moments where I realized, why don't I create? Well, first of all, I had to identify what my privilege was. What was my unique privilege that I was given here on earth as this form and in this human being? And my privilege was my connection to nature. I was privileged, really, really privileged to have that connection. And I understood that was a privilege by observing my environment. I understood that was a privilege by observing society and observing the way that the world was working, and observing how people had lost their connection to this original world, to the real world. And they were so deeply invested in this fabricated world that they'd forgotten that the real world was nature. They'd forgotten that was the real world. And that was where us as human beings, as biological creations, as biological beings of flesh and bone and blood and beautifulness, this is where we resonate at our best, at our most highest point of frequency. And well-being is found in a natural environment. And so I was like, wow, that's my privilege. So that's my gift that I can give to this world. is an introduction or a deeper understanding around the health benefits and the things that you can attain within your own life that can help you if you simply just connect with nature. Simple as.
Mm.
And then also the journey of understanding that you can't change anyone because of going through the journey where people tried to change me and I didn't like listening to people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
And then I realized, well, I don't want to try and change anyone because I don't like people trying to change me. But I know that this connection with nature will help people if they choose it. So I was like, how do I create something where I continue to give people the complete free will to make a choice? And I also started to understand the power of people changing themselves. It's like so much more powerful than if you persuade someone to do it. And then so I was just this journey of creating a space with other beautiful, like-minded people, like-hearted people who were on a journey of keeping that connection to nature alive, also keeping the connection to themselves and their own well-being and their body and all the different parts of themselves alive as well. Weaving in with those beautiful magical beings and those creations, and then just going into a public space, into a public park, and then offering that as a beautiful offering for free to anyone who chooses to come through and experience that. Leaving that beautiful, the ball in their court, just to come through and have some yummy kai that we've gathered through these sustainable ways of living and be exposed to these sustainable ways of healing that are more connected than going to your pharmacy and getting some pills and stuff. So that was that was where that journey started.
And that was amazing. I mean, when you started that journey, it was something, I think you had a certain persistence. You didn't have that much people in the beginning. Yet I remember coming to your event at, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember coming to the one that was in Tauranga
Tauranga.
a year ago, right?
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
And there was maybe 300 people,
Yeah.
many people, right? Something like that. And it was just incredible, like, because I'm sure that throughout this journey you had many moments that you felt, like it's not working or things going against it and it's hard and how I'm gonna do that and fears, and I'm sure maybe you can share that a bit, maybe not actually. What was your journey? That okay, you had the intention, you had the understanding, but then to make it real, that's a whole of another journey by itself, to walk
action.
that talk.
Action.
How was that for you?
I felt supported in my actions. I felt supported from from an unseen force, from a guidance that I within myself knew was real through my journeys in the spirit realm, through my astral projecting, and I felt very supported when going through this journey. At the start, you could even call it God if you wish. It's like, it's just a universal consciousness. It was just a source consciousness.
Did you literally hear it physically, or what was the guidance?
I had this moment where I had this powerful visualization where when I was first, the idea was being born and my purpose was being realized, where I had this visualization where if you can imagine, I was standing there just on a clear pathway heading out into the abyss, into nowhere, and there was a person standing next to me, a shape of a person, but that shape of the person represented the universe. And so if you can imagine, that person is filled with stars, it's filled with galaxies.
Wow.
It's filled with beautiful colors.
That was a dream or something that you saw?
Yeah, this is a visualization journey that I had just one moment when I was asking questions to myself, like, where am I going? What am I doing? And this vision came about. And
wow.
me and I would call it the universe, but if you can imagine, we're both figures like a human. We're both human figures. And the universe, this human universe, puts its hand out and offers me to grab its hand. It offers me to hold its hand. And in that moment, I put my hand out and I grab its hand. and it looks at me, and we both walk together. And that was a start of a journey where I knew that from that vision, I just had so much support from a force, or from an aspect of the universe that was beyond what I could even understand. I don't even know. But it helped. It helped when pursuing, or when continuing to walk this path through all the challenges. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, brother. This beautiful visualization that the universe, I was hand in hand with the universe, walking alongside
Wow.
it, not separate from it, not inside of it, but with it.
Wow. I have so many
Yeah.
questions on that story. Wow.
Yeah, it
Wow,
was
that's
beautiful.
really, yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. And
Yeah,
do you think that we all have that ability to connect like that with something bigger than us, or the universe, or nature, or God, or whatever you want to call it?
absolutely, brother. Absolutely. A beautiful thing that you can reaffirm with yourself is that you cannot be in this universe without being of it.
Without what? Sorry?
You cannot exist in this universe without being of it.
Exactly.
You cannot be in the universe, in space,
Exactly.
on the planet, without being of it in some way.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so that's a beautiful, just like another way
Reminder.
of,
Yeah.
reminder of how connected we actually are to the universe.
Wow. So I think I'm really taking something from what you said, that in order to do something big or pursue something that we feel that is, you know, our mission, or something that is bigger than us, and
Mm.
we need support, and we need support from a higher source, as well as something happened to you. And the truth is that we anyway supported by that. Like as you said, we are part of that. We are part of the universe anyway. Like whatever we
Mm.
inhale, the trees exhale. Whatever
Mm.
we exhale, they are inhaling.
Mm.
Whatever food
Mm.
we are eating, then it comes back to the ground, then
Mm.
it grows
I
again.
believe. Yep.
Then, like that's anyway the
Yep.
truth. It's just to bring our awareness and really use that focus and attention and intention and everything you shared
Mm.
just before, to remind ourselves that this energy, universe, God, whatever, is anyway part of us every time,
Mm.
every second, every moment.
Every moment. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too, brother, is that it will show up in many different forms in your path,
Mm,
along the path. Like
yeah.
to if you see them, as we call them, like tohu, or signs, or synchronicities. And if you
Yeah.
start to walk a path, observing and also acknowledging and honoring the synchronicities that are happening in your reality, then yeah, that's a magical journey, because that you're saying to the universe, I see you, I honor
Yeah.
you, I acknowledge you, and
Yeah.
I stand with you, and I accept you as a part of this journey, as a part of my life path of this journey.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
you
and
say
when
to
those
it when you
synchronicities happen, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. They
yes,
happen all the time, but when we
they
start to
do.
pay attention, actually, you know
Yeah.
what? Maybe that's the number one tip we can give to people that haven't
Ooh.
experienced something beyond the physical, is to pay attention
Yeah.
to those synchronicities, because they happen all the
Yes.
time.
Yeah, that's
You
a
go
great
start,
start.
right? I
Yes,
mean,
it
you
is,
go
brother.
somewhere and then suddenly you have a talk, and this friend that came with this
Yes.
friend is the
Yes.
person you've seen
Yes.
5 years ago, and you just
Yes.
thought about them yesterday, and that
Yep.
happens all the
Yep.
time.
Mm, mm.
And I think there is, have you read the book, The Celestine Prophecy?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so I really recommend that, and
Yep.
it's a very famous book that just speaks about, spiritual laws, and it's like an ancient text that was lost and now it was found, and there is
Mm,
certain laws there that kind of explain the it's a thrill. It's not like a doco kind of story, but has lots of truth and beautiful wisdom weaved in the
mm,
stories. So I think the first or the second principle of the Celestine prophecy is those synchronicities and following them, and that's the way of the universe to
mm.
speak to you.
Ah,
And
yeah.
yeah. Oh
Yep.
wow, we went
So
deep.
true, brother.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, we did more.
Oh, it's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very inspiring. That's very
Mm.
inspiring. And now you finish with that. It's like a 3-year project was creating space.
Yeah, 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
And you
Yep.
finished now. You finished your goal at least of what you wanted to
Yes,
do with this project.
yes, brother. So the ultimate vision was to create space in 12 locations around Aotearoa, and then have all 12 locations creating space on the same day. So just tapping into our potential as the collective and synchronizing with each other, because there truly is power in collective intention setting. It comes back to that whole pinpoint focus of your focus, energy, attention, and your intention. If we can do that as a collective, we can make massive shifts instantly,
Wow.
because we really are co-creating the reality that we're experiencing right now all together through reaffirming with each other the ideas and all the things that have been given to us throughout our journey.
That's amazing what you said. I had yeah, it's like when so many people hold something together as an emotion, as an intention, it kind of made it real already. It's almost physical. And I'll give you an example that was just, it hit me, that little insight. A few days ago, have you watched it's a very old kind of cartoon of DreamWorks called the Prince of Egypt? Have you watched that one?
No, I don't think I have.
It's it's a cartoon movie of DreamWorks, and it speaks about all the story of the Hebrews and how Moses was saving them in the Bible and everything. Now, I'm coming from Israel and I'm Jewish, so that is my ancestor. So I watched this movie and I grew up with this story, and every year we celebrate that, and I know this story. And I remember just seeing that movie recently, and I was thinking to myself, what if this story was real? What if everything that was written there was real? And I was thinking, you know what? It's even if it was not real, it's real, because for over 5,000 years, 4,000 years, whatever, the Hebrew people, the Jewish people, whatever you want to call it, like those ancestors were keeping telling that story, thinking about that, celebrating that.
Yes.
Believing fully in that story, that it happened and everything was like that. Which, whether it happened or not, it already did.
It did.
It already happened, like it made it real. That kind of landed on me. Like when, for example, an example that we can see in our days that can really make sense around it is money. Money is not doesn't have a value. It's just a piece of paper, right? But we believe that this piece of paper that's written $50 is worth $50, and the green paper that is $50, it's more than our $50, the US dollar.
Yes.
It's just a belief. It's not a real thing, because we all hold it together and agree on that. It makes it real. That's real energy. It really moves stuff in life.
That's right, brother. That's exactly right. That's a great example too. What a beautiful example.
Wow, we are on the go, man.
Yeah, my brother.
We're on the go.
It's been beautiful. Wow. Yeah, what a beautiful corridor, my brother.
Yes, brother.
Yeah.
Wow. What else do you want to share? Did we left any unresolved corner? Have we jumped from subject to subject? Oh, I have a question to you, actually. After doing creating space in Aotearoa, do you have any desire to do it outside of the country?
Yeah, great question, brother. It's already been organized. So,
really?
So I've been invited to go over to Australia, and some beautiful whānau over there are keen to create that space with that intention in Melbourne. So I'm going over in July. They're flying me over. I'm just so privileged and grateful to go over and support them. We're gonna drop in for a big meeting and talk about what the core values are and our intention for doing so, and and the template and all that sort of stuff. And I'm probably going to go kai gathering and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's happening, brother. Australia.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. That's good.
Wow.
Yeah. Beautiful. And so, also the mantra we have, our mantra, "We are the nation that will come together,"
Yes. Yeah.
has
Yeah.
has now been has now evolved to "We are the nations that will come together."
Okay.
Yeah, so it's expanded now. We are the nations.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I
Yes, brother.
love that song. Wow.
Yeah. So that,
Wow.
yeah,
What an inspiring human being you are, honestly.
I appreciate it, brother.
Walking the talk. Walking the talk.
Whew,
Walking the talk.
still doing the mahi too. Oh,
Yeah, man.
the deep mahi. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
I
And
think that's what makes it so real and so inspiring as well. You know that
mm,
you're not just how would I say, imagine it and it's all in your head and you have all those beautiful intentions. No, you initiate. You want to do something,
yeah,
go ahead and do it. You're not gonna wait for someone else to do it. And I think we can all learn from that a lot. Don't wait for life, guys. Don't wait for anyone. Create.
that's that's true, brother. And a philosophy or a thing that I've learned as well is that if your intention is pure, if you're coming from a pure place, pure intention, find out what pure intention means to you first,
Mm.
and have a warning on that. But if you're moving from a place of pure intention, then you don't need to seek permission to action whatever you want to. Just go for it. Just go for it. Just do it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brother. Just go for it. And that's actually something else that I'll speak into as well. Because throughout the creating space journey over those last 4 years, that was the whole journey of COVID as well, and all of this experience where people were having to stay separate, be in their own homes, be quarantined. This big rush to separate everyone all happened throughout this journey of creating space. And when that was one of the challenges that I'm faced when organizing creating space and when following through with this vision. And a big part of me knew that there was nothing that was going to persuade the shifting of the original intention for this kaupapa, for this mission of creating space. So I still organized creating space gatherings throughout the whole COVID journey, and I never I never followed the Bible of COVID rules and regulations that came with all of this other sort of carry on. It was crazy, and
Wow,
so
it was.
it was crazy, and so we still managed to create space out of pure intention, out of love, and the most important time when we needed to be coming together.
Yeah.
And the most important time when this space that we were creating was of so much medicine for people, to
Hmm.
remind them that love is the most powerful force in you. It's just powerful. It's
And what
powerful.
so in that moment of challenge, what kept you going? Was it coming back to that understanding that the universe got your back? Or what was keeping you going?
Yes, brother. And it was also an understanding that it was a form of graduation for myself, and fully anchoring and fully trust, just like what we talked about, the pendulum, and realizing that in my greatest moment of graduation or evolution or growth comes equal resistance.
Mm,
And so it's through that resistance that you get an opportunity to say, yes, I choose this version of myself. Yes, I fully choose this. Or, oh, maybe. And at the end of the day, it's love and fear. It's love and it's fear. and
wow.
and do you feed fear? Do you feed fear, or do you feed love? And fully loving and honoring the path that you've chosen, the choices you've made, accept everything that you've directed upon in
I
that
love
moment.
that.
That's the universe gives it to you. It gives you those opportunities.
I love that. You know, it really reminds me one of the talks that I had with one of my clients that also throughout their journey they faced a similar thing, you know, they were really going and pursuing something that they really wanted, and then they felt like this clash, this wall from life. And it's exactly that. It's like, I feel like life tests us. They say, "Oh, you think you changed? You think you're strong now? Oh, okay, let's try to push it a bit. Let's see if you can take it. Did you really change, or do you just think that you change? Is it just in your mind, or you actually
That's
want
right,
how
brother.
badly you want that, you know?"
That's right.
And
That's right.
I remember about you that when I went to the creating space in Auckland, that was exactly when all the mandates started to hit really
Yes.
powerfully. We were all there, and then the police came. The
Yeah, that's
police
right.
came to the
Mm.
event, although we didn't do anything wrong, but you know, they came. And
Yeah.
I remember this moment, seeing you going there, speaking with them
Mm.
so peacefully, so much with love, not with trying to
Yes.
create a fight. You were
No,
coming respectfully and
that's
gently.
right. Yeah.
And like magic, they were just couldn't resist
That's
that love.
brother.
They just said,
Absolutely.
"Enjoy, guys."
That's right, brother.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And this was that
Absolutely.
moment for you, you know, like it's like, are you gonna keep choosing love right now, or are you gonna go with
Mm.
hate and fear? What you are you
That's
really a messenger of love or not?
yeah. That's right.
That was that in front of us, in front of everyone's
Mm.
eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
That was a powerful moment, brother. And
definitely.
thank you for reminding me about that, because that was that was a graduation phase. And um just recently before that was the protests down in Wellington. So
Wellington.
yes, so when we created space in Auckland, there was not only the COVID, the madness that was going on, but also the level of alertness through the protests that the police and all that stuff was going on.
Wow, true,
And
true.
so yeah, so they came with that energy. They came with this really that kind of energy. They came with that energy, like something that's going on. We need to make sure, stop it or whatever. And we like at that time, I think the games were only supposed to be around 50 people. There was other restrictions that weren't allowed to be, and they said to me, they were like, "Hey, you're only allowed to have 50 people and blah 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 blah." And I said, "Yes." I said, "Yeah, okay, brother, I understand that." And the way that the way that I understood my purpose in that moment was to speak to them, to the aspect of them that wasn't the role that they are playing.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as they put the uniform on, as soon as they put the hat on, they embody a role, and that it's their duty as that role. But beneath that, hey brother, beneath the hat, beneath the clothes and all the uniform, beneath the mask, is that beautiful, beautiful light, is that beautiful person, is that beautiful father, is that beautiful son, is that beautiful mother, is that beautiful brother, it's that person who has a family, it's that person who's been through his own journey. And so understanding that that's the person I want to talk to, and speaking to that beautiful person who still has that connection to themselves, um, really, really, really helped the situation, and help them understand that we were there of pure intention. There was no combative energy about us. We were just there to share our medicine, and that was a beautiful moment. I gave them
Wow.
a hug too. Gave them a hug at the end of it,
Yeah.
and they said they let us go. They just said, "Sweet
Yeah.
as,
It was
yeah,
so kind of natural and easy. I don't know.
yeah,
I remember seeing it from the side. It was so casual,
yeah."
the way you came to the and you know what you just said now, I think it's a key to interact with every single person that you meet in your life.
That's
It comes
right,
back again to
brother.
that identification that we are making, you know, like also for us, we see a policeman, we see our boss, we see whatever, you know, like we already assume something. We already identify them with something. We see a man, we see a woman, we see name it. But if we can see through that, you know, like we all of us just want to love and feel loved and feel respected.
Mm. Yes,
That's
my brother.
it.
Absolutely. And
Wow.
there's a part in all of us that is all the same.
Yeah,
There's a part within each and every one of us that is the same thing that we all possess. There's a part in us that's the same thing. And that's a beautiful part to relate to another person by.
exactly. I think we need much more of that on this life to relate to one another beyond like the exactly from where we are similar. From where we are similar. Wow. I feel like we should finish with that final note, which was just incredible and really inspiring. How do you feel about that?
I'm happy with that, my brother.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's give it up for Ra, the brother Ra. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast and sharing your wisdom and having such a great chat, man. I really missed you. It was so good to just hear you and yeah.
Thank you,
Beautiful, beautiful. And guys, if you like the podcast, please follow us and rate us. And I would be very happy to hear any of your comments, anything you want to share, any insights or feedback that you might have to say about everything that we're doing here, everything that we spoke about this episode and other episodes. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the details of the brother in the comments, and you're more than welcome to contact me for any questions you might have. I don't know if actually I said I'm gonna leave your details. Do you want your details down in the comments for people to contact you?
Yep. Sweet ass.
Okay.
Yep. Sweet ass.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. We send you many blessings. Much love.
Much love. Maria Roha.
Gloria.